Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamcha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितां च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So today we are going to start a new chapter, chapter number 6, Dhyana Yoga. So last chapter in 27 and 28 verse, so there was some glimpse given of Ashtanga Yoga, that how one can get liberation through Ashtanga Yoga, and we had seen the 8 stages of that, and then the peace formula was given in verse number 29. So now in this chapter, Krishna will describe Ashtanga Yoga in more detail. So we'll see this. So first two verses of this chapter will describe summary of the fifth chapter, that is the Karma Yoga part and all. And then from the third verse, the two levels of Ashtanga Yoga, that's Aruruksha and Aruda. Aruruksha is the beginning stage and Aruda is the advanced stage. That will be described. And then what are the different symptoms and what are the different things to be done in all these things will be described in all the stages. And then what are the perfection stage of Aruda and all will be done. And then how to control mind. So this chapter has a very important component, that is of mind control, and how to divert mind in the from the places to the point where we want. So that is all described. And then the necessity of controlling the mind and all, and what happens to unsuccessful yogi. Suppose somebody starts bhakti yoga or ashtanga yoga, anything. So what happens to that if he is not able to finish in this lifetime? So this all things will be described in this chapter. So let's start from verse number 1. Shri Bhagwan Vacha Anashita Karma Phalam Karyam Karma Karoti Ya Na sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragni na chakriya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as is obligated is in the renounced order of life. And he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty. So, what is the meaning of a real sannyasi or order of life is that he's unattached to the fruits of his work, and he works has a duty not for any fruits, and therefore he's a true mystic, and not one that the person who performs no duty and and has no light, or who lights no fire. So here the summary of the last chapter is given. In this chapter, Lord explains that the process of Eightfold Yoga system is means to control the man, mind, and senses. However, this is very difficult for people in general to perform, especially in the age of Kali. Although the Eightfold Yoga system is recommended in this chapter, the Lord emphasizes that the process of Karma Yoga or acting Krishna consciousness is better. Everyone acts in this world to maintain his family and their paraphernalia, but no one is working without some self-interest, some personal gratification, be it concentrated or extended. So very important to note that anybody who works in this material world has some gain, otherwise one will not work. And even if one wants to do Nishkam Karma Yoga, it will start with Sakam Karma Yoga. So without doing Sakam Karma Yoga, one cannot go to Nishkam Karma Yoga. That is, at least one has to start activities for some profit or some material benefits. When gradually, when he is purified, he will do activities without any material motive. So this is the way in which things are done. And here, eightfold Ashtanga Yoga has been recommended, but Lord says Karma Yoga is more better, or acting Krishna consciousness is better than this, because Ashtanga Yoga practically, generally the people will not be able to follow, because it's very difficult in doing all these things, and we'll discuss this further also. The criterion of perfection is to act in Krishna consciousness and not with a view to enjoying the fruits of work. To act in Krishna consciousness is the duty of every living entity, because all are constitutionally parts and parcel of the Supreme. The part of the body work for the satisfaction of the whole body. The limbs of the body do not act for self-satisfaction, but for the satisfaction of a complete whole. Similarly, the living entity who acts for satisfaction of the Supreme whole and not for personal satisfaction is the perfect sannyasi or perfect yogi. So this we have seen so many times that we are part and parcel of Supreme, and like a machine is there, the big machine. So it doesn't part, if it doesn't attach to the machine, then it is not useful. But when the part of the nut or anything is attached to the machine, then it is useful. Similarly, if we work for Supreme, then our life is successful. Otherwise, will not derive any satisfaction. So therefore, uh, we should act for the satisfaction of Supreme. And actually, surrender is not difficult. Surrender is very easy. See, in this world, everybody surrenders under the other thing. Somebody may be a principal, somebody may be teacher, somebody may be student. So everybody has hierarchy. So if we see the students, they submit to the college, they fill the form, they submit to the teachers. And if they do not submit, then they will not get good marks. And therefore, this is very important thing. Even the teacher, he submits to the institution. If does not submit, then he will not get the salary. He has to work for 7, 8 hours, what is recommended. The teacher has to teach according to the syllabus, and the time period is given, everything is given. Similarly, even the principals has to work under trustees, they will come, and the trustees are also responsible for others. So this is the hierarchy. Even in a company, if you see, so there is a boss, so he's the boss is a then has the duty towards the shareholders, and then the people who are working there has duty towards him. So in this way, if you see, every person surrenders to any other person. There is no person who do not surrender to anybody. If somebody tells that I am not surrender to anybody, he has to surrender to the mind. So mind will say, do this, do this, do this, and he will do. So better than that is surrender to Krishna. This is far, far more easy, because in that we'll find complete happiness. And therefore, gradually, slowly, we should think this way, that, and in this way we should try to surrender to Lord Krishna, because Lord can be pleased even by fruit, flower, or anything. But in this world, if you want to please any other person, it's not easy. Every day, every week, every month, we need to do so many things to please that person. And if we do anything, not everybody will please. If somebody is in the management, and there are people working on it, if he takes any decision, some people will be pleased and some will not never be pleased. There is never a time when a person can please everybody in all times. No, he can please some people for some time, that's all. And therefore, surrender to Krishna is very easy, and therefore, as part and parcel, we should work for satisfaction of Krishna. And how will Krishna be satisfied? When we send this message to others that, oh, you are part and parcel of Krishna, and please work for Krishna. So this is the easiest way to satisfy Krishna. The sannyasis sometimes artificially think that they have become liberated from all material duties, and therefore they cease to perform Agnihotra yajnas, but actually they are self-interested, because their goal is to become one with the impersonal Brahman. So sometimes sannyasis think that they have become liberated and they have no duties. And there's Agnihotra yajna, which is the sannyasis are required to do. These are generally for the sannyasis who are in the karma karma kandi or karma yoga, whatever it is. So for bhakti yogis, this is not required. So, but they're self-indulgent because their goal is to become one with supreme impersonal Brahman. So they want to merge with Brahman. Such a desire is greater than any material desire, but is not without self-interest. So desire to become one with supreme goal is better than material desire, but still he has his interest that he want to become God. So this is without not without self-interest. Similarly, the mystic yogi who practices the yoga system with half open eyes, ceasing all material activities, desires some satisfaction for his personal self. But a person acting Krishna conscious work for the satisfaction of the whole without self-interest. A Krishna conscious person has no desire for self-satisfaction. His criterion of success is the satisfaction of Krishna, and thus is a perfect sannyasi or a perfect yogi. Lord Chaitanya is the highest perfection symbol of renunciation. So when a devotee becomes Krishna consciousness, so when he's advanced in Krishna, what does he do? He does everything for Krishna, for satisfaction of Krishna. And therefore, he's a perfect sannyasi because he's doing everything for Krishna only. He does nothing for satisfaction of self. And therefore, he has no desire for self-satisfaction. Anyways, we cannot even satisfy ourselves. If we try, if we satisfy Krishna, then automatically we please. If we try to please ourselves by doing whatever, like suppose we like to eat in now mango or something. So even if we try to eat so many mangoes or anything, we'll not be able to satisfy ourselves because our body has limitation. After some time, it will not be able to eat, or there'll be some other problems. It will not support eating. So it is not easy. But if we want to please Krishna, it's very easy. And for his satisfaction, if we give Chappan Bhog to Krishna, Krishna can eat easily. And therefore, that is much more easy. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagdisha kamaye, mama janmani janmishware, bhautat bhakti ahitukitwai. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor to enjoy beautiful women, nor do I want number of followers. What I want is the causeless mercy of a devotional service in my life, birth after birth. So these three things, wealth, women, and followers. And for a woman, it is men. So in Shastras, we should understand that majority times the word is written as woman. So when woman hears, it should hear as men. So because for both, it's opposite. So these three things actually are what is desired by most of the people. Most of people want name, fame, they want followers and all. But what does devotee want? He wants devotional lifestyle. And in devotional service, while doing devotional, if he gets wealth, then he will use for service of Krishna. And if he gets some followers, then he will use for service of Krishna. And similarly, if there are some men or women coming, then they can be also a helping hand. So in this way, he will see. Otherwise, for himself, he will not want anything. He will just want to do devotional service life. That is the only ambition. Otherwise, if we are not devoted, these all things, this money, women, and followers will be a distraction. And we have seen this now also. So many people have so much wealth. Like we have seen so many people earning a lot and giving their wealth to their children and everything. And these children who have got wealth without working hard, they are now going the wrong way, utilizing the money in the wrong way, and in this way, their life is destroyed. So therefore, these things, it's like if you have power, if you do not use it positively, then it will eventually destroy yourself only. So this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that I don't want this, I want only devotional service. So verse number 2. Yam sanyasamiti prahu yogam tam vidhi pandava nahi asanyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana. What is called renunciation, you should know to be the same as yoga or linking oneself to the Supreme. O son of Pandu, for one who can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for self-gratification. So, renunciation and bhakti is one and the same. That is renunciating the material desires and linking with the Lord. So, it is only a different side of same coin. It's not different. So, till the time one renounces the material world, one cannot link with the Supreme. And till the time one does not link to the Supreme, one will not be able to renounce material world. because one needs some attachment, either spiritual or material. One has to have some attachment. There can never be a person who is not attached to anything. And therefore, yoga means to link with the Lord. It may be karma yoga, that is linking oneself with the doing some activities. Maybe jnana yoga by studying or doing things, or ashtanga yoga by different practices, or buddhi yoga, or whatever it may be. But uh, one should link to the Lord by some way. Purport: real sannyas yoga or bhakti means that one should know his conscious position as living entity and acknowledge it. So this is a primary thing, that one is not the body but spirit soul. And therefore Bhagavad Gita starts with this in chapter 2 from 11 to 30 verse. And if one comes to this position of soul, he has already reached supreme, because then the path is very easy. For us now, majority of times we know that we are not this body but soul, but acting on the platform of soul becomes very difficult. And therefore uh, one should know his conscious position is as living entity and act accordingly. So knowing is one thing and acting is another thing. So one should act in that way. If one acts in that way, then all this greed, anger, and all this illusion and everything will not be there, because it's all are there on the platform of body and not on the platform of soul. This false ego and everything. And therefore, if one can act on this platform of soul, one can progress in bhakti very fast. The living entity has no separate independent identity. He is the marginal energy of the supreme. So we also have energy, we also are independent, but our energy is minute. We don't have the energy like what Krishna is. So when he's entrapped by material energy, he is conditioned. And when he is Krishna conscious or aware of spiritual energy, then he is in real and natural state of life. So now at this point, we are entrapped in this material body. So we are conditioned. So conditioned by the three modes, we are living here. But when we are Krishna conscious or aware of spiritual, then we are in the real state of life. Therefore, when one is in complete knowledge, one ceases all material sense gratification or renounces all kinds of sense gratification activities. So therefore, it's very important to develop knowledge. And therefore, we are reading this Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and so many scriptures. So when one is in complete knowledge, then what happens is one ceases all material sense gratification. So then one thinks that the sense gratification is not good, or renounces all kind of sense gratification activities. Sometimes, in the name of devotion service, also many people do sense gratification, and we have seen this, that somebody likes something and he wants to eat, but even if forbidden, then he will offer to Krishna and eat. Or sometimes, if we see so many times, so many people want to do some activities which are forbidden, but we see in so many festivals nowadays that they collect funds and do so many things, and whole night they are doing forbidden activities just for a sense gratification they are doing, but externally being shown that I am a devotee of this, or I am devotee of this. So that is not proper, and one should give up all sense activities. See, even if one wants to enjoy sense gratification, he cannot, because our body is so limited that even if one wants to enjoy, he cannot. And we have so many examples. Suppose somebody wants to eat so many things. After some time, doctor will say that he has got diabetes. He cannot eat much sweets. So in whatever enjoyment we want, we are very limited, and therefore better that we should renounce and do the needful to keep body and soul together. So this is a practice by the yogis to restrain the senses from material attachment. But a person in Krishna conscious has no opportunity to engage senses anything which is not for the purpose of Krishna. Therefore, a Krishna conscious person is simultaneously a sannyasi and a yogi. So, because if one is really Krishna conscious, he will fully engage in the service of Krishna and he has no other engagement. And therefore, this is an ideal position actually, that one does everything for Krishna. Therefore, a Krishna conscious person is simultaneously sannyasi and yoga. The purpose of knowledge and of restraining the senses as prescribed in the jnana and yoga process is automatically served in Krishna consciousness. So when one does Krishna, one acts according to the desire of Krishna, automatically one restrains his senses and does everything for the Lord, and therefore it is achieved. If one is unable to give up the activities of his selfish nature, then jnana and yoga are of no avail. The real aim is for living entity to give up all selfish satisfaction and to be prepared to satisfy the Supreme. A Krishna conscious person has no desire for any kind of self enjoyment. He is always engaged for the enjoyment of the Supreme. One who has no information of the Supreme must therefore be engaged in self satisfaction, because no one can stand on the platform of inactivity. All purposes are perfectly served by the practice of Krishna consciousness. So, the major problem why people are engaged in sense-getting activities nowadays is because they have no information of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. See, once now one gets information that there is Supreme Personality of Godhead and He's a Supreme and He can give us, we will gradually shift toward that because we are Jiva and Jivara Swarup Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. This is our eternal constitution. So, in today's world, the major problem is happening because this information is not given to people. If this information is passed out, gradually one will leave all scientific activities and one become devotee of Krishna. It's not so difficult, but this is easy. And however, one may be go in the wrong direction, he can come back to Krishna consciousness very fast. There is no restriction and there is no impediments. Only the knowledge to be given, because that is his innate nature. Like if we see, the innate nature of water is liquid. So if it is put in fridge for how many years it may be, for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, still if you bring it out in the natural environment, then what will happen? It will again come into its liquid position. And therefore, it does not mean that for how many years it is in, it will be affected. No, the constant position is constant position. So if you see the butter, so the butter now, if it comes in contact with fire, it will melt. So if you keep the butter for any number of years, maybe 40, 50, 60, or maybe thousands of years in the fridge, still when it will come out in the contact with fire, it will melt. That is it, it is probably. Similarly, a jiva or a living entity, or maybe so far from Krishna, he may go to any direction, he may do so many abnormal things, but as soon as he gets this knowledge and he gets in contact with devotees, he will definitely come back to Krishna consciousness. There is no doubt. Only the thing is, time, it will take its own time, that's all. And therefore, this is very important thing. Now, from verse 3rd and 4th, now Krishna explains the two levels of Ashtanga Yoga. So we are now starting the Ashtanga Yoga from this verse. Arurukshor mune yogam karma karanam uchyate yogarudasya tasya seva samakaranam uchyate. So this yoga arurukshur. So aruruksha is the beginning stage and yoga arudasya. So this is the advanced stage. These are two stages in the Ashtanga Yoga. For one who is neophyte in the eightfold yoga system, work is said to be the means, and for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means. So any new person, he should be engaged in the work, and when one is advanced, one can renounce the work. So this is there for any type of yoga practices. Purport: the process of linking oneself with the Supreme is called yoga. So yoga is very simple definition. Whatever way you may link it with Supreme, that is called yoga. Yoga means linking oneself to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It may be compared to a ladder for attaining the topmost spiritual realization. This ladder begins from the lowest material condition of living entity and rises up to the perfect self-realization in pure spiritual life. According to various elevations, different parts of the ladder are known by different names. But all in all, a complete ladder is called yoga and may be divided in three parts, namely Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. The beginning of the ladder is called Yoga Aruksha stage, and the highest rung is called Yoga Arudha. Concerning the Eightfold Yoga system attempts in the beginning to enter into meditation through regulative principles of life and practice of different sitting postures, which are more or less bodily exercises. So I will just explain this once again. We did it last time, but we'll just explain this again. I think after reading the purport. All such activities lead to achieving perfect mental equilibrium to control the senses. When one is accomplishing the practice of meditation, he ceases all disturbing mental activities. A Krishna conscious person, however, is situated from the beginning on the platform of meditation, and because he always thinks of Krishna and being constantly engaged in the service of Krishna, he is considered to have ceased all material activities. So, in Ashtanga Yoga, there are 8 stages. First is called Yama, that is don'ts. These are regulations. That these are the prohibitions, that you should not do this, you should not do this, you should not do this. And second is Niyama, Niyama. These are rules and prescriptions. Like in devotees, we have these 4 regulations not to do: no sex, no gambling, no meat eating, and no intoxication. And what are do's? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, that is chanting, hearing, all these are do's. So Yama, Niyama. And then third is Asana. Asana means bodily exercises. These are like how to sit, different types of postures. This is done. And the fourth is Pranayam. So after bodily posture, what is done is breathing exercise like Anulom, Vilomba, Kumbhaka, Rechaka. So this like different pranayam exercises. So this all helps to control the mind or to make one peaceful. And then it's Pratyahara. So Pratyahara means, so one is withdrawing the senses from sense objects. So like eyes want to see something beautiful, the nose want to smell something beautiful. So withdrawing that sense, withdrawing that eyes from seeing that one thing, maybe by closing or maybe by looking different eyes. So this is called pratyahara, withdrawing the senses from sense objects. And after that, when one withdraws it, then one fixes the mind on Lord's form. That is called dharana. So withdrawing sense, because mind gets all the input from senses. So if one cuts the senses from doing what it wants, then the mind will automatically control. So therefore, from that we go to dharana. Dharana is fixing the mind on Lord's form. And then the dharana in stage, what happens is the mind is fickle. It does not want to again. So there is always practice. So this is the starting point, dharana. And then what happens is this intensified meditation on Lord. So one intensifies very much. There is, so though what happens is here one can meditate on Lord for a long time. This is called dhyana. And then the last stage is samadhi, that is complete absorption. If one wants also, the mind wants somebody else will want, it will not wander only. It will directly be absorbed in Krishna or whatever it is in trance. So this is a stage where one should reach. So yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. These are 8 stages. Yam means regulations. Niyam means prescription, what to do. Asana means bodily exercises. Pranayama means breathing exercise. Pratyahara means withdrawing the senses. Dharana means fixing the mind on Lord's form. Then dhyana is intensified meditation, and samadhi, that is complete absorption or trance. So these are the 8 stages. So let's see verse number 4 also. Yada tenendriyartheshu na karmashu anusajjate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yogarudas taduchate. A person is said to be elevated in yoga when, having renounced all material desires, he neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities. So when person does not act for gratifying senses or in fruitive activities, then he is said that he has renounced material desires or he is elevated in yoga. Sometimes people just wear a dress of outward renunciation, but internally they have so many desires. So that is not encouraged here. When a person is fully engaged in transcendental loving service of the Lord, he is pleased in himself, and thus is no longer engaged in sense gratification or fruitive activities. Otherwise, one must be engaged in sense gratification, since one cannot live without engagement. This is a very important thing. See, if one is not Krishna consciousness, one does not work for Krishna, then he has to work for sense gratification. See, there is not a moment when one can live without engagement, and therefore we see when people are distracted, they don't know what to do. Most of the times they will do wrong activities, because one needs engagement. If one is not given the right engagement, definitely one will be wrongly engaged. And therefore, when we see people are going wrong direction or something, what we should do is just help them to go to the right direction. If that is done, automatically everything will be solved. Without Krishna consciousness, one must be always seeking self-centered or extended selfish activities. But a Krishna conscious person can do everything for the satisfaction of Krishna, and thereby be perfectly detached from sense gratification. One who has no such realization must mechanically try to escape material desires before being elevated to the top rung of the yoga ladder. So one method is to engage in Krishna consciousness, do everything for Krishna. In this way, one can be uh, out of sense. Another way is to mechanically try to escape. Though I will not do this, I will not do this. Like if there is some sense object, I will not see this, I will not smell this. But the second method is artificial, and they will take wrong time, and it's not so easy. After some time, what happens? Even if our eyes don't see that, even our nose don't smell, even if we don't eat, our mind is engaged in that. In our mind, we are thinking of that sense object, and what happens is, because our mind is engaged in that, gradually will again be back in that activities. And therefore, we see that there are so many people who give up smoking, who give up so many things, but then there are withdrawal symptoms, and again the person come back to the original thing. Why? Because there is no positive engagement, or the mind is not diverted. So that what happens is, there are impressions, and again it will go back to the same thing. And therefore the easiest way is to help them to be in the Krishna conscious movement. So one when becomes a devotee, what happens is automatically senses are engaged in doing some service to Krishna. And because Krishna is our friend, Krishna is Sachidan. So what happens is, gradually we'll get ananda by serving Krishna, we'll get satisfied by serving Krishna. And because that satisfaction, that ananda, and that happiness is much, much more, that one can easily give up sense gratification activities. So otherwise, uh, even if somebody stops anything, the impressions, the vasanas remain in the mind, and it again pulls the person back to doing the same thing. And therefore, very important that one should be engaged positively. Otherwise, it's not easy. And therefore, most of the drug addiction centers and most of the uh, people are not successful. The rate is not so high. People again indulge in the same things because of lack of alternatives, lack of spiritual alternatives, which are not available at this point of time. So now, from verse number 5 and 6, so we have discussed this 8 stages. So in this 8 stages, mind control and detachment center is required very much. And without that, one cannot come from yoga aruksha stage to yoga arudha stage. And therefore, here in this 2 verses 5 and 6, Krishna will explain that how mind is a friend or mind is a enemy. So let's see verse number 5. Uddharet atmanam natmanam avasadayet tad atmeva hi atmano bandhur atmeva ripur atmanam. One must deliver oneself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of conditioned soul as well as his enemy as well. So if mind is not controlled, it becomes our enemy. And if mind is controlled, it becomes our friend. And therefore, we should try to control the mind. So we see so many people say, I do what my mind says. That doesn't mean that we are mind. So actually that person is actually not doing what he likes, but actually he's trapped
by mind, and he's doing wrong things. So therefore, we should not do what mind likes, but we should train the mind to do what is good for us, what is best for us, and do what we like. And therefore, this is very important. The word Atma denotes body, mind, and soul. So we see this Atma word in different places. Sometimes it is referred to body, sometimes it referred to mind, and sometimes it refers to soul, depending on the different circumstances. In the yoga system, the mind and the conscious soul are especially important. Since the mind is the central point of yoga practice, Atma refers here to mind. So here uh, we see that mind is central point, and everything happens because of um, how we control our mind and use it for yoga practices. So it refers to this Atma word refers to mind. The purpose of the yoga system is to control the mind and draw it away from attachment to sense objects. It is stressed herein that the mind must be so trained that it can deliver the conditioned soul from the mire of nescience. So everything requires training. So the very important thing that mind also can be trained. So it is difficult, but it can be trained. And therefore, one should read scriptures and try to train the mind in a way where it can think positively in the right direction. In material existence, one is subjected to the influence of the mind and the senses. In fact, the pure soul is entangled in the material world because the mind is involved with the false ego. So what is this false ego? This is our identity. This is mithya. Somebody may say, I'm a woman, I'm a man, I'm a president, I'm a professor, I am this, whatever it is. So these all are false ego. These all are false designations. See, our real designation is Jivera Sarup Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. So we are eternal servants of Krishna. This is the real ego. And apart from that, I'm a husband, I'm a wife, I'm a son. All are false ego, actually. So doesn't mean that we should break the relationship with everybody, but we should understand that actually we are servants of Krishna, and everybody else is also servant of Krishna, and therefore we are working co-jointly to please Krishna. So that is the real way. Because the mind is not which desires to lord over material nature. So because we think that I am this, and this. So what is our desire? That whatever we see, it should be mine. So this is called avidya, or false knowledge, which is not the real vidya. So everything we want that this should belong to me, this should belong to, and therefore we want to lord over material nature. Therefore, the mind should be trained so that it will not be attracted by the glitter of material nature. So mind should be so trained that nothing of this world will attract it, because whatever it may be, like recently we saw that a big place, very beautiful place in Western country, there was a lot of fire and so many things were destroyed. And similarly, we see here in the Asian countries also, Sri Lanka was a good tourist place, but because of some natural calamity, it is destroyed. So whatever beautiful is there in this world, it is all temporary. And therefore, it will be destroyed sooner or later. Even our own body, if we see, when we are young, we look so good, but then gradually it is deteriorating. And therefore, one should not be attracted to this material world, because whatever attraction is there, it is all temporary. And therefore, we should train our mind by constant uh, instructions, engagement, and practically we need to see it. Also, in this way, we should train our mind. And in this way, conditioned soul may be saved. So, this is the easiest way. One should not degrade oneself by attaching to sense objects. Even whatever sense objects we see, they also actually cannot give us pleasure in the long run. We think that it may give us pleasure. All the industries, advertising industries, and everything, they promote in a way that this will give you pleasure, this will give you pleasure, this will give you pleasure. But actually, pleasure is inside us. So, because the soul is Sachidanand, and by serving the super soul, it will derive real pleasure. Other things are temporary, it will not give real pleasure. And therefore, when we purchase some new things, we are excited, super excited, it will give us pleasure. Then within 3-4 days, it is lying somewhere, because that thing cannot give us pleasure. And therefore, the more one is attracted by sense objects, the more one becomes entangled in material existence. Because if we see somebody wants a good house, big house, what will do? He'll take loan and pay EMI. So he becomes more entangled and he has to pay this for so many years. So therefore, if we are attracted, then we'll be in material existence more. The best way to disentangle oneself is to always engage the mind in Krishna consciousness. So this is the easiest way, and therefore a problem to all the solution to all the problems is becoming devotee of Krishna. The word he is used for emphasizing this point that one must do this. It is also said. So the word he is used, that is one must do this. There is no options. So it's all said, Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha vimokshayo bandhaya vishayo asango muktaya nirvisayam mana. For man, mind is cause of bondage and mind is cause of liberation. Mind absorbed in sense objects is the cause of bondage, and mind detached from sense objects is the cause of liberation. Amrit Bindu Upanishad 2. Therefore, the mind which is always engaged in Krishna consciousness is the cause of supreme liberation. So, how is the mind a friend? If it is engaged in Krishna consciousness. If how is the mind an enemy? If it is engaged in sense objects. Verse number 6. Bandhuratman atmanatmanastasya yenatmeva atmana jita atmanastasya tu satrutve anatmanastu satrutve varteta atmaeva shatruvat. For him who has conquered the mind is best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. So, for a devotee, he needs to control the mind by practice of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, mind will drive him out. And therefore, actually, we should try to conquer the mind. The purpose of practicing Eightfold Yoga is to control the mind in order to make it a friend in discharging the human mission. Unless the mind is controlled, the practice of yoga for show is simply a waste of time. A very important thing, if the mind is not controlled, then whatever practices we are doing, the mind will definitely take us away from that and will again engage in sensation. One who cannot control his mind lives always with the greatest enemy, and thus his life and his mission are spoiled. The conscious position of living entity is to carry out the order of superior. As long as one's minds remain an unconquered enemy, one has to serve the dedication of lust, anger, avarice, illusion, etc. So when mind is not conquered, then we have to serve all this. But when the mind is conquered, one voluntarily agrees to abide by the dictation of personality of God, who is situated within the heart of everyone as Paramatma. Real yoga practice entails meeting the Paramatma within the heart and then following his dictation. For one who takes to Krishna consciousness directly, the perfect surrender to the dictation of Lord follows automatically. So either one has to go through a long route of doing so many things, yama, niyama, and so many things, or either one can directly surrender to Krishna and this way follow the dictation of Lord automatically. And in this yoga, it's very easy to follow dictation of Lord just by chanting the holy name. And if one chants the holy name, gradually all the things will develop, that is surrender and love for Krishna and everything will develop. Now, in verse number 7 and till 9, 7, 8, 9. So, the symptoms of person who are on the advanced yoga aruda state, advanced state, what are the symptoms are being described. So these symptoms, if we see, Krishna describes in most of chapters. If we see in 2.14 verse also, Krishna says, be equipoised. Similarly, we see in so many different yoga, if we see 2.54 and other verses also, in Arjuna asks about the person who is equipoised, then he also says these things only, that heat and cold, man apman, one should be tolerant. Similarly, here also we see that Krishna will say the same things, and further also, if we see, Krishna will repeat the same things. Therefore, it is very necessary that if Krishna is repeating so many times, it is very, very essential for a devotee to come to this level, that one is neutral in all dualities and control his minds and all other things also. So let's see what are the different symptoms of the person in yoga stage. जितात्मना प्रशान्तस्य परमात्मा समाहित शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखेषु तथा मान अपमानयो. For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already rich, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. So, for this person, if we see, he is not affected by external things, because internally he is one with Supreme, or he is equipoised. And therefore, it is very important that we should come to this level. If one is in this level, one can practice bhakti very easily, because one will not be distracted by all these things. Purport: actually, every living entity is entered to abide by the dictation of Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. So, we should abide by the dictation of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And for devotees, actually, who are devotees of Krishna, instead of Paramatma, Krishna himself sits in the heart of devotee and does the needful. And therefore, what is the difference between Paramatma and Krishna is, see, Paramatma, if it's there, it is just Dashta Anumanta. He will just observe and give his sanction. He will not interfere personally like what Krishna does. So Krishna is more reciprocative even than Paramatma. And therefore, for devotees, is a very good news. When the mind is misled by the external illusory energy, one becomes entangled in material activities. Therefore, as soon as one's mind is controlled to one of the yoga systems, one should be considered to already reach the destination. So, if one can control the mind, one is reached far, far better in his devotion service. One has to abide by superior dictation. When one's mind is fixed on superior nature, he has no alternative but to follow the dictation of Supreme. The mind must admit some superior dictation and follow it. So, actually, the mind wants to be independent, and therefore we see so many people say that I will follow my mind, I am independent, everything. But actually, it must admit some superior and follow it. The effect of controlling the mind is that one automatically follows the dictation of Paramatma or Super Soul, because this transcendental position is at once achieved by one who is in Krishna consciousness. The devotee of the Lord is unaffected by the dualities of material existence, namely distress and happiness, cold and heat, etc. This stage is practically samadhi, or absorption in the Supreme. So, this is very important thing, that one can control the mind effectively if one is in Krishna consciousness. And if one is a devotee of the Lord, naturally he'll be unaffected by duality materialism. That is heat, cold, and everything. And we have seen the example of devotees in Srimad Bhagavatam, from the Pandavas to Bhishma Pita to Parikshit Maharaj to Prahlad Maharaj to Dhruv Maharaj to Ambrish Maharaj, and so many examples we have seen how they're unaffected by all these material devotees, and therefore the stage is practical samadhi or absorption in the Supreme. So what are the other symptoms? We'll see verse number 8. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutosto Vijitendriya Yukta iti uchyate yogi Samalostas Astama Kanchana Lostasma Kanchana. No. A person is said to be established self-realization and is called yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it is pebbles, stone, or gold, as the same. So, if we see what he is seeing, he's seeing a spiritual vision, and therefore, these all are material things, maybe pebbles, stones, or gold, and therefore he's seeing same. For material person, it is not the same. Stone does not have much value, but gold has so much value. Unless the stones are like diamonds or something, otherwise not much value. So purport: book knowledge without relation of the supreme truth is useless. This stated as follows. So if you are just have bookish knowledge, but we have not practiced it, then without relation the supreme truth is useless. So we'll not be able to stay. So gradually we should also experience what is there in the books, that how by being in Krishna conscious one can derive real benefit, or one can be really happy. Atha Shri Krishna namadi na bhavet grayam indriya sevan mukhe hi jivadau swayameva smriti yadam. No one can understand the transcendent nature of the name, form, quality, and pastimes of Sri Krishna through his mentally, materially contaminated senses. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental loving such Lord, are the transcendental name, form, quality, and pastimes of the Lord revealed to him. So, this is very important point to note here. See, we have material senses, material energy, material eyes, and everything. See, with our eyes now, we cannot know the transcendental name, form, quality, and passion of Krishna. Not possible, impossible. So, what we are trying to do, we are trying to please the Supreme Personality of God by doing the jap, tap, and everything. So, when Krishna is pleased by our endeavor, what he does, he reveals this to us. So, it is in Krishna's hand whether he wants to reveal his name, form, quality, pastime or not. It's not in our hand. And therefore, if Krishna can be pleased, then everything can be done. And therefore, Krishna can be pleased only by pure devotion service. And therefore, good birth, wealth, austerity, tapasya, charity, and all the yajnas and all, they are not necessary. And therefore, even a person who is very poor, who has no knowledge, who has no education, who has no money, who has nothing practically penniless, can also please the Lord. And this is a very good thing, because if he can please the Lord, he can go back to God. And therefore it is said, there are no material impediments in doing spiritual service. And we have seen so many examples, like Sudama Brahman, who was very, very poor, he pleased the Lord. Then Sridhar Kolvecha, who lives in the hut where he stays has so many holes, but still he could please Supreme Personality of Godhead. And similarly, Maharaj Yudhishthira also lives in palace, and he also can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, whether one has money or no money, whether one is beautiful or not, whether one is educated or not, nothing matters. Only devotional service matters, and therefore anybody can please Supreme Personality Godhead, and anybody can even displease Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not that every poor man will become a devotee of Krishna and every rich man will not become. There are no material qualifications. It is just whether or not he has come in contact with some devotee. Anybody who comes in contact with devotee and acts favorably, he is sure to become devotee today or another time. So, and then when one pleases Supreme Personality, he reveals. It is not a matter of right that we say, oh, I want to see now Krishna. Please show me. So anything spiritual is not our right. It is just that we try, and if they are pleased, they will give us the blessings. That's all. This Bhagavad Gita is the science of Krishna consciousness. No one can become Krishna conscious simply by mundane scholarship. So one may be a PhD, one may be a top CEO, CFO, whatever may in the company, one may be have so many riches, but still he cannot understand Krishna because it is all mundane. One must be fortunate enough to associate with a person who is a pure consciousness. A Krishna conscious person has realized knowledge by the grace of Krishna because he is satisfied with pure devotional service. By realized knowledge, one becomes perfect. By transcendental knowledge, one can remain steady in the convictions. But by mere accumulated knowledge, one can easily deluded and confused by apparent contradictions. So therefore, when we read so many books, but we're not practicing, and we'll easily be distracted because there are so many contradictions, so many scriptures, all apparent, but we cannot resolve them. Only acharyas can, and therefore we'll be confused by contradiction. It is a realized soul who is actually self-controlled because he surrendered to Krishna. He is transcendental because he has nothing to do with mundane scholarship. For him, mundane scholarship and mental speculation, which may be good as gold to others, are of no great value than pebbles or stones. So, one who is a devotee, for whom devotion is the best, for him nothing matters much, whatever the mundane values. In this world, whatever value people give to money, gold, and everything, a devotee does not give any value to them. It doesn't mean that one will throw away whatever he has in outside the house, but he will not be attached to that things. That is, if he has, he will use for service of Krishna. If he doesn't have, he will not do endeavors, he will not do extra endeavor to acquire that things. Whatever things come his own accord, he will try to get, and if they are external, he will not do. He will just do his bhakti. So that's what it means to be not attached. Now, verse number 9, another qualities are given. Suranmitraryudaseena madhyastadveshabandhushu sadhushu api cha papeshu samabuddhirvishishyate. A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, neutral meditators, and envious friends and enemies, the pious and sinners, all with an equal mind. So, very important thing, how is advanced? See, one can be equal mind with friends, but not with enemies, not with envious. But here, Krishna is saying this is more advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, benefactors, neutral meditators, also envious friends and enemies, past sinners also with an equal mind. So what is he seeing? He's seeing the spiritual side that everybody is a servant of Krishna. And this way, he is one with everybody. And therefore, when he sees enemy, he doesn't see enemy. He sees that he is a part of parcel of Krishna, and he has come here to purify me, so that I can go back to Krishna. So in this way, he does not consider anybody is enemy, because the so-called enemy has become enemy of us only by the sanction of Lord. If the Lord did not sanction, he would not become an enemy. At the same time, one will not become a friend if it is not sanctioned by the Lord. So everybody is just an instrument in the hand of Krishna. Nobody is independent. So therefore, when one is a devotee, he acts under the influence of Krishna, and one is not a devotee, he acts under the influence of material nature. So one works under Sattvagun, Tamagun, Rajogun, or one acts in the dictation of Krishna. And therefore, we see sometimes that there is fight between devotees, or one devotee is cursing another devotee, or we see that because of some devotee, another gets in trouble. So why? Hare Krishna. Yeah. So why this happens is because when we come to devotional service, Krishna takes all our karma, but because he wants us to rectify, he keeps something with him. And because we are in devotional service, whatever we get, we will get through devotees, because we have cut outside connection. And therefore, sometimes we see that some devotees are rude with us, or something happens with us. But we should understand that nothing happens with the sanction of the Lord. And therefore, if somebody is rude with us, somebody disturbs us, somebody does not act the way we want, then it is all because Krishna has uh, permitted him to act like this. That's all. And he's helping us to come out of our bad influence, the impression of whatever it may be. And therefore, he considers everyone in equal mind. So friend is also helping me in a positive way, and enemy is also helping him by taking out some wrong things in him, or some bad karma he is being absorbed because of that enemy. So in this way, he considers everybody in equal mind, and his point is to go back to Godhead. So in this way, this verses 7, 8, and 9, they describe what are the symptoms of yoga Aruಢ stage. Now, having described this perfectional stage of Ashtanga Yoga, Krishna will now describe the activities in the practice stage, that is, how to achieve the goal of perfection. What is written in the above 3 verses, how to come to that level. So how to come that? So he now describe the stages of yoga practice. So let's see that these stages, how it goes. So practices in the yoga Ruda stage is described in 10, and then 11 to 14 will also describe the basic practices of Ashtanga Yoga. So let's see verse number 10. Yogi yunjitaya satatam atmanam rahasi sthita ekaki yata chittatma nirashi aprarigraha. A transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind, and self in relation with the Supreme. He should live alone in a secular place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feeling of possessiveness. So these are practices which one needs to do. There is always engage body, mind, self in relation to the Supreme. So always serve the Supreme in some way. Live in a secular place alone. That is so that he is not disturbed in his sadhana practice by anybody, and should always carefully control the mind. So when one is alone, what happens is his mind becomes a troubler. So he always try to control his mind, and then he should be free from desires and feeling of possessiveness. So even alone, one may think that this is mine, this place is mine, or this mine. So he should be free from that also, that this does not belong to me. Purport: Krishna is realized in different degrees as Brahman, Paramatma, and Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna consciousness means concisely to be always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. But those who are attached to the impersonal Brahman or localized super soul are also partially Krishna conscious, because impersonal Brahman is the spiritual ray of Krishna, and super soul is the all-pervading partial expansion of Krishna. So we all know this. We have heard that there are 3 stages of realizing the degrees of realizing Krishna. There is Brahman, Paramatma, and Supreme. Brahman is effulgence of Krishna. Paramatma is only in this material world, which stays with the Jivatma till the time one is liberated. And Supreme Personality of God, that is Krishna, or his expansion stay in spiritual world. So he's saying that if one is even having personal Brahman, Jyoti, or Lokas, they are all partial, also know partially Krishna. They are partially Krishna conscious, because knowing Krishna is the most advanced stage, and one may grow gradually also. Thus, the impersonalized and the meditator are also direct Krishna. A directly Krishna conscious person is the topmost transcendentalist because such a devotee knows what is meant by Brahman and Paramatma. His knowledge of the absolute truth is perfect, whereas the impersonalized and meditative yogi are imperfectly Krishna conscious. Because his knowledge is perfect, he knows the different levels, he knows what is the best top, therefore his knowledge is perfect. And others' knowledge is not perfect because they does not know that Krishna is the highest thing. Nevertheless, all of these are instructed herewith to be constantly engaged in the particular pursuit so that they may come to the highest perfection sooner or later. The first business of a transcendentalist is to keep the mind always on Krishna. Very important point. We should keep our mind always on Krishna because mind keeps on wandering. Therefore, one has to bring back the mind again and again to Krishna conscious topics. Otherwise, the mind will sway us away. See, in the whole day, if we do Krishna conscious activities for 23.5 hours, and if we do material activities only for half hour, our mind will naturally be attracted to material activities, not the spiritual one. And therefore, well, we should try that our mind is always kept on Krishna. We should always think of Krishna and not forget him even for a moment. So that is always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Concentration of mind on the Supreme is called samadhi or trance. In order to concentrate the mind, one should always remain in seclusion and avoid disturbance by external objects. He should be very careful to accept favorable and reject unfavorable conditions that affect his realization. And in perfect determination, he should not hanker after unnecessary material things that entangle him in feeling of possessiveness. All these perfections and precautions are perfectly executed when one is directly in Krishna consciousness because direct Krishna consciousness means self-abnegation wherein there is very little chance for material possessions. The Rupa Goswami carries Krishna consciousness in this way. Anasaktasya vishayan yatham upayunjata nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate प्रापंचिकतया बुद्धया हरि संबंधी वस्तुना मुक्षुभि परित्यागो वैराग्यम फल्गु कथयते. When one is not attached to anything, but at the same time accept everything in relation to Krishna, one is rightly situated about possessiveness. On the other hand, when one who rejects everything without knowledge of relation with Krishna is not as complete in his in his renunciation. So one should be attached himself, but he can do everything for Krishna. That is the real thing. But one may not do everything for Krishna, but one remains detached to things which can be used for Krishna. Then that is not real detachment. A Krishna conscious person well knows that everything belongs to Krishna and thus is always free from the feeling of personal feelings of personal possession. As such, he has no hankering for anything on his own personal account. He knows how to accept things in favor of Krishna conscious and how to reject things unfavorable to Krishna conscious. So these two things, accepting favorable things and rejecting unfavorable things, this is the thing which one should do constantly in the whole day. Accepting favorable things, rejecting unfavorable things. And this way when one does, then gradually he'll become more and more Krishna conscious. He's always aloof from material things because he's always transcendental and he's always alone, having nothing to do with the person not in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness is the perfect yogi. And therefore, one should strive that one becomes Krishna consciousness very fast so that one can do the best. So we'll stop here.